Okay, this is today is the 14th of September, and we are 13 days into our 21 days purification cleanse with SP Complete. And so some of you have done this cleanse before many times, and some of you use this powder like weekly as like a 1-day cleanse, or maybe a few times a week as a like a meal replacement, or just to kind of clean out anything that maybe was stuck from eating something that we kind of gave into. If you feel like you have eaten or drinking this smoothies and your body is telling you that, okay, we've cleansed enough, then take it down to 1 a day, or take it down to like maybe 2 scoops a day instead of 4 scoops a day. Just make sure that it works for you. Stay on your path, stick with 21 days if you can. It will really pay off afterwards. And it will help us to absorb our macronutrients that I thought I'll talk about a little bit today. That's I really like. So last time, I believe we talked about the micronutrients. If not, it was a few times ago. And the micronutrients, you can find them, of course, in all of the macros as well. But the macros are like the big staples of food. It is carbohydrates, it's protein, and it's fat. So we'll break it down super easy, because we've seen, okay, do your macro diet, it's important, do this and that. Okay, so what is it? And doing macro diet, that is eating whole foods. Like for instance, if you were on, say, a 30-day whole food diet, or there's something called 30-day whole food, not to be confused with what we're doing. We're doing a 21-day purification cleanse, but it's fun to know that there's a gazillion other ways out there. And one of them is to eat only whole foods, which is whole food diet. That would be eat your macros only, which is, of course, again, no processed foods and no added sugars. Macros are carbohydrates, protein, and fats. Carbohydrates is our quicker energy storages in our body that we need. Those are all of the grains, right? Those are all of the grains. And certainly vegetables and fruits as well. So those are our carbohydrates. And it's said that our diet should be, if we have a balanced diet with macronutrients, we should do about 40% of macros, of carbohydrates. So it's hard to measure, give or take. Some do detailed measuring, some do a little bit what they are, like how they feel or what fills them up. Like if we were to eat carbohydrates from whole grains and whole vegetables and some whole fruits or berries, then we will most likely get filled up with those dense nutrients from carbohydrates that helps us with building the whole body up. It's needed for everything. And then we might, if we filled up on our carbohydrates, the whole food carbohydrates, then we will less and less and less crave the processed carbohydrates, because that's pretty much what the processed foods are. It's like packed together, highly processed carbohydrates, right? And it could be mistaken for, oh, this is a great carb. But the great carb in macro diet is the whole grain, all of the grain, cooked, baked, sauteed, any of that. And that's good to know. And then on top of that, we have our protein, which is our building blocks for muscles, nerves, communication in the body, within the muscle and the nerve, and definitely is mainly known for building our muscles. Protein. How much protein should we eat? What does it do? Why do we need protein? We need protein to build muscles. We need protein to build connection for our nervous system to our different organs. We need protein for our skin and hair and nails. So we need protein about the size of our palm, maybe 2 to 3 times a day. How much protein? it is said that we need about the amount of grams that we weigh in pounds. So for me, 115 grams a day, sometimes 117, sometimes 120, depending on the day and how the week looks like. And why the protein intake is so important, which is, yes, you can get protein from some grains, from beans, but you can also get the most protein from fish, chicken, all the poultry, and of course, the heaviest saturated protein is from meat, from red meat. Not necessarily red, but how about beef and that category? The wild games, the lamb, all of that. And that's where we can get our building blocks for protein for us. Why is it so important? Because it helps us to build our muscles. It helps us to build our tendons strong. It helps to build the whole, like all of our muscles that and also ligaments and tendons that connect to bones. Now, if we don't eat an appropriate amount of protein that's meant for us, if we are active, it is said, I'm going to repeat it, it's the grams that we weigh in pounds for our dose of the day. So we can check our packages, we can weigh it, we can see how much it is. If we don't add on protein in our diet, then say every time, just normal day function, right? We have to use protein to use our muscles to stand up, to walk, to lift something, hoist ourselves into the car. I mean, it all needs muscles. And then I would have to say everybody who's on this call is also very active doing other activities, many activities. So you use your muscles a lot. Now, if we don't have protein for the muscles to use as energy stored in our body, then the muscles will release the protein that we already have in our muscles, and it has to be kind of reused, right? So this is important. If we don't have adequate amount of protein in our diet that supports our daily activities, then our muscles, when we use our muscles, will, if we don't have in the diet in that day protein, then our muscles will be eaten up from our activity that day. So we will, so if we do a diet with no protein, we might shrink, right? The muscles will get smaller because there's no protein to be filled in and used up for the muscles to give us energy, to build our muscles and our strength and stability. And then we get weaker, we lose connection with our tendons, and all kinds of things happen. That's why of like pulling muscles or tendons or ligaments. And perhaps there's a million reasons, but one of them is that we don't have enough protein in our body to build the strength and support our body's activities with the protein that our body needs. Whether you believe in getting your protein from your grains, from your beans, or from your animal protein, that would be up to you. But I just thought that's a very important thing to have in our minds. Do you have anything about that, Marilyn? Then we go on to fats.
No, I had my first meat last night and it was moose.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Especially for you, I believe you're blood type A, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yes. And then
A.
I only did like the size of my palm, like you recommended.
Yes, small. If we have not eaten animal protein before, start very small. And yes, the wild is of course much easier to digest. And then also, of course, like organic poultry or fish. Yeah, stay away from the beef. If you we're going to get into different diets later on, but especially blood type A. But for sure, protein of your choice that works for your digestive, and just see how it feels, right? This goes for everybody. If you haven't eaten meat before, small doses, right? And because it takes a while to adjust for the digestive system as well. But that could be one thing. If we have weak muscles, if we feel like our different joints and tendons starts to wear and tear, and our muscles are not getting stronger, maybe we want to just turn our head and look a little bit, okay, where is our protein coming from? Instead of protein, am I eating a bar? Instead of protein, am I eating a pizza? It's good to kind of just see like, whoa, where, or am I just eating fruit or vegetables instead of protein? Does it fill me up or does it not? Or do I look for filling elsewhere? We eat our macros, we eat carbohydrates and protein from whole foods. And we also eat fats. Fats is, as we all know, needed to absorb A, D, E, and K in our system from the vitamins A, D, E, and K. There's 4 of them, very important. They need fat. They need especially omega-3 fats or oils, which is found in fish, which is also found in supplements. Most of us need to add that because we live in a world where we look into screens, which dehydrates us. We have lamps, dehydrates us. We have a super strong sun, especially in Colorado, which dehydrates us as well. And of course, fat from our meals are important too, because that helps, of course, to protect our cells and protect our linings, and helps also with the building blocks of the body for a functional, happy, and healthy body. Now, carbohydrates needs a fat to go through the digestive tract. So if there are no healthy fats in the body, then the carbohydrates keeps on kind of just storing on. They just keep on hanging on around the organs, around our hips, around our lower belly, and they are not being burnt as much as perhaps they should, because the body is using all the other, maybe it's eating up our muscles or using up, it sounds mean, but it's using up our muscles for energy for the protein, right? So I'm going to loop back. That was a very small explanation. We eat macros to get the dense nutrients from whole food to sustain our digestive tract, sustain our muscles, our skin, hair, nails, and like all the inside visceral muscles and skin and hair that we have in our intestines as well. Very important. Bones, ligaments and tendons, all of those things that creates a happy and healthy and functional body that can support our just daily activity. So 40% of our, if we do just a macro diet, if 40% of our diet should be carbohydrates of whole foods, 30% of our diet should be protein, and another 30% of our diet should be healthy fats that comes with the protein usually, and also with the whole grain hulls. There's also fats in those, or oils. And protein, dairy is also protein, right? And fat. And we talked about that the plain yogurt, plain kefir, the goat yogurt kefir, the butter, anything else, the ghee, of course, and olive oil, and all those things are also, of course, fat and protein. And that's what I wanted to get out today. We're going to eat our macros. When we're done with this cleanse, we're doing macros with the cleanse because we're eating whole foods. But we're also, after we're done with this cleanse, maybe we just go for like, okay, let's do macros. 40, 30, 30. Okay, the amount of grams in protein, whether it comes from whole grains, check and see how much protein in your whole grains. Check and see how much protein in your beans. Check and see how much protein in the animal protein that you're eating, animal meat that you're eating. And kind of add up and be, okay, am I measuring it up? And of course, check to see that you're feeling good little by little. And then on top of that, we mix in our micronutrients that we get also from carbohydrates, but in the form of vegetables, berries, and fruit. Fruit is a lot of sugar, berries is less sugar, and vegetables is less sugar. And it's good to remember that, okay, that's how we will eat when we're done with this cleanse. And we have started to incorporate it already this week. We have done 13 days and we have another 8. And then we have completed 21 days together of cleansing and purifying. This is the last that I want to wrap up with. When we do a cleanse like this, and we do like a reset for our intestines and for our stomach lining, and for definitely the liver, the kidneys, the adrenals. So then when we do get back on a healthy habit eating and taking away the processed foods, then we can absorb the nutrient dense food into our system. We can absorb the micronutrients with all of its vitamins and minerals that we need for our body. Sometimes if we have too much stored up toxins that we have gotten from some processed foods, maybe along the line in our life, then it's nice to be able to clear it out and then start fresh and notice that metabolism might work a little differently. And we will be diligent about what we eat after we're done with the cleanse. Because if we go back and say eat a meal with processed food, we're not going to feel that great afterwards. So this is a good 21 days of wiring our mind to, okay, whole foods as much as we possibly can. That's it for today. I know Marilyn is here. Do you have any question before I just stop recording that maybe somebody else wants to hear? I know you have a question.
Sure. How much time do you have between your 2 shakes? Or maybe you do 3.
Yes, I'm down to 2. And I try to do one mid-morning. I have a little bit of brown rice and with a little bit of olive oil and some salt, and just to get something in my belly. And some days I've had a little bit of just oatmeal, warm, and I've had some like I had like a little bit of pomegranate juice for that as a sauce around. And then after that, let's say another hour or so, I have a smoothie. And then I've been having like a midday meal, or sometimes not. And then I have a second smoothie 2 to 3 hours after that.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I try to eat something again in the evening. But some days it's been completely reversed. And I have my 2 smoothies in the afternoon, because all of a sudden it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon and I haven't eaten anything.
Okay.
Maybe because of a class or something in the morning. And I've had maybe I've had like an apple. I've had my cup of green tea with probably butter in, and that keeps me going. And then I was like, whoa, I got to get these smoothies in. Sometimes the time runs away, but if I prep it, then I usually do 2, a mid-morning and mid-afternoon, and then, or sometimes I do reverse. And I try not to have it after like 5 o'clock in the afternoon, 4 or 5, because it becomes a little bit too much for me. But it's so different for each and every one of us. If it's too much, now this last week, it's like we're on the home run. Again, if it's too, feels like, whoa, that's a lot of fibers from the vegetables in the powder, right? And maybe if it's a lot of, if we put vegetables or berries or fruit in the smoothie on top of it and it feels too much, just downsize the scooping. It doesn't have to be those 2 heaping scoops. It could be, but it doesn't have to be.
Okay. All right. That sounds good. That's pretty much what I do. Yeah, it depends on the day, right, in your schedule.
Yes, I think Aaron just pulled up.
Oh.
Yeah, he did. I'm going to say thank you for this call, and I look forward to seeing you very soon again.
Okay. Bye, Marie.
Marilyn, thank you so much. I'm going to cut that out. Thank you. Okay, we'll talk soon. See you at Yin. Okay.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.